It is Tuesday night, and that means another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. For the first time in about a month, we actually don't have a guest this week. So Wes and I just get to talk about the games that were this weekend and the games coming up. And oh boy, I think we at least in one of the series we have some things to talk about.
Dude, I don't know. It was a good weekend, I think, overall. Lots of movement within the rankings and standings and all that jazz. We got to tie it first. Couple sweet splits, couple sweeps. Um,
I think overall, uh, the weekend went mostly the way that we thought it was going to. Uh, Not to brag, but I was perfect. You did get two incorrect, but that's the way it goes sometimes, especially in this conference. It's tough to predict.
I'm telling you, dude, the travel day apparently doesn't mean jack anymore because 3 out of the 4 away teams won Friday games. And I knew that going into it that was something that to account for, and I did for the most part. I also didn't think Duluth was going to play the way that they did, or that Western was going to play the way they did. But for the most part, Western didn't play terrible Friday night. The puck just was magnetically drawn to our fucking past our goalie, and yours decided to keep everything under the sun out of his.
I think you would have learned from last year, uh, the Friday game in Kalamazoo and Firsch being like, I don't know what that was, but it wasn't hockey. These two teams have a way of uh, producing a product that we don't know what it is, and it's just kind of a free for all the first time that they meet. That's kind of what it seems. I don't think either team, and we'll just start right off from that. Get the elephant out of the room. Um, we'll just start with that Friday game between UMD and Western. I don't know what that was, but I don't think either team played poorly. They played well. There were just a lot of things in that game that I don't know what happened.
No, I will say that UMD definitely played better for the most part than Western did. UMD got out to a quick start, and they scored 2 minutes into the game. Uh, Slid it 5 hole on Cam, and really Western didn't have much of a response to it. They do get one late in the first period to kind of bring it back, but you just got to play the game the right way. And Western didn't have that jump. We tried answering back, and Duluth had an answer for everything we seemed to throw back at them, and kept it going. You take 2 major penalties in quick succession, and you're down 2 guys for I think it was at least 7 minutes or something. We only gave it 1 goal on it. There was a backbreaker thing because it was at the end of the second period. In the third period, we had nothing, absolutely nothing. I think that's the most goals we've given up all year in the third period. Um, and I mean, it's a close game until the third period. It's 2-1 Duluth, and then it becomes a 4-3 game. Like, we just was not the effort you wanted, especially the way the Saturday game went in Miami to put up two kind of lackluster performances and come away with 2 L's, especially when points are getting to be at a premium here as we get closer to the end of the season.
I think my takeaway from it is uh that's the Friday well, both games honestly. Um that is the performance from UMD that I would expect. And it's kind of like that turn of the calendar that your non-conference is done and now it's time to step it up. Uh Yeah, you had it as a sweep. I had it as a split. But that UMD team showed me something this weekend that they haven't shown all year. Now, yeah,
There were
we
still
did.
opportunities for Western to win that game, though. I'm not
Oh,
saying that Duluth
there were
played
a
by any means a great game. They were out. Western outshot them 40-29. It's probably
yeah,
the best I've seen Thiessen play in a while. Um, but there
yeah,
there
and
were
that
still opportunities for Western to win that game, and they just their own performance did not get them where it needed to.
yeah, and I'm not saying that we were world beaters or anything in that game. Thiessen did play very well, and your commentators were saying, uh, how do you go back to stay skull after what Thiessen did this weekend? Um, because he did only give up. Uh, I mean, I shouldn't say only, but he gave up 4 goals, but for the most part, they were good. The team just played well, and they capitalized on the chances that they were given, because, like you said, the two major penalties. Um, we got one. We probably should have gotten more, but Ben Steves did his thing and he scored, and we got lucky on goal that should not have been a goal. Uh, but it just gave me a little more confidence going into the last part of the season to get a higher seed for this team, especially with us still being a somewhat young team, even though we're pretty evenly distributed when we went over the roster. I think they'll figure it out and pick it up going forward. Uh, but I do want to talk about the officiating and the calls, especially in the Friday game.
I don't know, dude. Like the first major, I was on the complete. I was 210 feet away from the play, so I couldn't tell you exactly what the turn was or the move was. I didn't go back and look at it because I was so frustrated with that game as a whole that I did not go back and watch any hockey after that game. I was like, nope, I will wait until tomorrow. I'm good. I'm over it. I'm gonna let it just linger in my brain and not deal with it. So I left it at the rink, and I just wasn't dealing with hockey after that one.
I will say the the first major should not have been a major. The second major, it should have been. Um, but the first one, I don't even remember our player who got hit, but he looked back. He saw the guy coming to hit him. And at the last second, he turned his back and got his face smashed into the boards. To me, that should not be a major because he knew it was coming. When the guy initiated the hit, he was not turned. His back was not to him. As he finishes the hit, all of a sudden his back is to him. I don't know what they saw. And I know the NCAA is different than the NHL and whatever, but to me, I disagreed with that call. It should have been 2 minutes for boarding. Like, yes, penalty, yeah, but 2 minutes for boarding. Don't put a major. The second one, that was more egregious than the first one, and you could have maybe done charging on it. And I didn't watch that one back. It's just based off the replays, but that one he wasn't quite turned towards him. His back was to the play for the most part during the whole sequence. So that one I get. But then we have
Let's see here. What is defined as checking from behind in the current college hockey rule book? A major only. When a player receiving contact turns their body to create contact from behind into the sideboards, endboards, or goal cage, a major penalty may be assessed. The following guidance should be used when assessing a major penalty only. Whether the opponent put themselves in a vulnerable position by assuming a posture that made checking from behind on an otherwise full body check unavoidable. Whether the opponent maturely. What is that word? I don't think it's maturely. Materially changed body position immediately prior to or simultaneously with the hit in a way that significantly contributed to the check from behind.
So basically, it's saying consider exactly what I said. And our guy, he saw the hit coming, he knew it, and then he turned his back. Which I was watching with my brother, and my brother said the same thing. We're like, dude, you are that is the dumbest thing that you can do because you're not putting the opponent in danger, the guy hitting you, you're putting yourself in danger. And he completely turned right at the last second and was like, hey, I'm going to get a penalty. I'm like, yeah, and you're going to get paralyzed. Like it made zero sense for our player. I and that's why I don't think it should have been a major on Western for the first one. The second one, yeah, I I do agree with that call. So
On,
I think that would be
see if I can find these and
something
watch
that
it back while we're going over this. But I don't know, dude. There's the one. Let's see here. Said he moves the puck up. Smith turn. He does turn back, but I mean, Washi's already got him lined up, and the kid's already kind of like he's coming to the outside shoulder. I don't
yeah,
know. They're both like bang bang plays.
I
I don't
was Washi was the first
for
one, right?
first one, yeah.
I don't think, and he's not a dirty player.
Well,
So
he's also the kid who ran into the goalie, the first goalie, the Lindenwood goalie. And no, that
it's
was the other
Lindenwood,
one was Granger.
but he has him lined up. He's going for the hit on the first one.
Literally, if number 12 like back skates, he doesn't get hit at all. But he tries to
Yeah,
turn and he turns towards the boards.
he put himself in that position to get hit from behind.
Yeah, and I watch he's coasting in. Kind of knows right away that, it's questionable at the best. Um I don't know. I guess the play for Washi there is to try and skate up ice towards the corner, and but the thing with like
I
checking
don't know what
from
he's
checking
supposed
from
to do
behind
though,
happens on every damn play anyway.
and I don't know what
That
Washi's supposed to do
yeah, I
because
don't
he's
either.
already going into his hitting motion, and our guy turns like just before, like a split second before, or as he's going into the hitting motion. So
Really, honestly, I think the other one is they're both like super close because
the
the
other
other the
one,
other kids he turns into towards the boards too instead of keeping and skating straight.
but he turned a lot earlier, and I don't think he was aware the hit was coming.
They're both like pretty sim like the timing on them is very similar
They're similar, but I think the
because
second one,
Hilsendagger's already um coasting in to make the hit, and he's playing it as if the player is skating going to continue and skating up the boards, and he's just going to run into him head on. The way the player takes a step with his what is this, my left, yeah, his left leg, turns him and puts his left shoulder forward as he gets hit.
it's it's one of those, it's tough. As I was watching it back, just me personally, I didn't agree with the first one. I agreed with the second one.
Here's
But
what I'll
then
say. I think when they called the first one a major, they had to call the second one a major. They can't let the second one go with the first one having been a major when in our minds the first one should have been only a minor.
that's fair.
It left them no
But
choice but to give us two majors less than 5 minutes apart.
oh yeah, it was like a minute and a half or something like that, 2 minutes apart, something like that. But
It was less than 2 minutes. It was literally like a minute and 27 a minute 7 seconds because there was
okay, a minute
153
seven.
left on the major power play. A minute 49 after the whistle, so a minute and 11 seconds apart.
I do wish, and this is something that we should have asked the commissioner when she was on, is the transparency when major penalties are called, and why doesn't the league issue statements on from what the referees saw? But in it with that, it goes to the other call in that game as to why um whose goal was it? It was his first goal in the NCAA. Why was that not considered a kicking motion?
Yeah, I don't know. The dude's skate is completely off the ice. It moves towards the net. He's not sticking his foot out in just a general way in order to redirect the puck. I guess apparently because he didn't flick
Kick
his
it off
foot.
the ice?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
I don't know. And I messaged you. My brother said the same thing. We're like, how is that not a kicking motion? He literally kicked at the puck. He was like Pat McAfee
His
punting a ball.
Yeah, his foot
He
left the
kicked.
ice and moved closer to the net and made contact with the puck in the air.
They say a kicking motion. That was a kicking motion.
Yeah, he's not
And
trying to stop and bumps into the puck. The puck's not coming to him and he turns his foot towards the net. He legitimately kicked the puck out of the air into the net
yeah,
with the outside of
and
his foot. Like I've seen soccer goals scored that exact same way.
I'll I will say I'll take the break, and it helped us get the win.
Also,
But at the same time, I
owns this goal.
don't agree with it. I think it should have been no goal.
What am I looking at right here? Which goal is this one? Your fourth goal does not 100% cross the line.
No,
That should not
the
have been a
the
goal.
the angles that
I
they
literally
had
just
on
looked at it.
TV, yeah, the angles that they had on TV or NCHC TV weren't great, but from everything that I saw from watching the replays, which I know you're watching the exact same thing, I told you this. I don't think it fully crossed the goal line. And the overhead camera, the post is blocking it for a like the split second where you can't tell if there's white or not in between the goal line and the puck.
Yeah, I don't think it fully crosses the line. I
I,
just
I
had it.
don't think so either. But that's one of the plays where the call on the ice matters.
And they called
They
no
call
goal. So apparently they saw enough for it to overturn it. They originally waved it
Oh,
off.
did they call no
Yeah.
goal?
Yep.
I thought they called a goal.
Nope.
Maybe it was I was just hearing the announcers. I don't know. I was also cooking at some point. So, but regardless, I think
Like the ref doesn't immediately like he doesn't signal one way or the other. He just blows the play dead and then they go and look at it.
I will say I'm going to take the win. I will take those goals, but I'm not naive enough to be like, "Oh yeah, they were good." I don't agree with two of the calls.
And
Like,
and I mean, it was another checking from behind on Saturday too. Like again, it's a thing. It's one of those things where like it happens every play. It's just a matter of how far do you let players get away with it before you care enough to make it a penalty. By definition, half the time that players check each other, it's by definition checking from behind.
yeah, mostly because even though they're kind of from the side, it's still from behind their side. It's just more contact to the side. I think they need to rewrite that rule. Um, and with Heather on, she was saying all the right stuff, but what she said and what we see on the ice are very far apart.
But again, I think some of that is one, we don't know what they're looking at. We don't understand how they're interpreting the rules because that's what they're doing. They're interpreting the rules. I'm interpreting the rules how I see them applied or how I believe they should be applied.
Hmm.
And a lot of them are judgment calls. If the league feels that their judgment is the right judgment, why can't there be a statement issued? I mean, granted, you might have to, and maybe only in specific circumstances. Maybe if it's uh, a major in a game misconduct, that should be something that the statement is issued. If it's a disqualification, or if maybe not every major penalty, or maybe not every damn sure every not every minor. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean,
not
there could be a line drawn, or like if you're issuing a report and filling out like why you called it the way you called it, put those out. Like, what? How does it hurt you? It makes everyone understand what's going on a little bit more, and maybe then we get to a point where like, okay, I at least understand how this ref calls games because not every ref calls the game the same.
no, not every ref is going to call the game the same, and I think um, majors and
Majors and above.
majors and above, and then goal reviews to and it that one's a little tricky because they can review it for offside. That one's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Either they were on or they were off. But if there was something like the kicking motion or
Goaltender
what they saw
interference. How
with,
are you defining goaltender interference?
yeah, those goal reviews,
Because we,
I think there should be a statement because
I mean, there is a couple. I think it was last weekend. I don't think it was this immediate weekend. I think it was the weekend before. There was a couple where was it Miami challenged one? Maybe there were like two that were challenged, and neither one of them were even remotely close. Oh, one was I think the North Dakota Omaha game.
mm-hmm.
There was that one where that one might have been a little bit closer, but I think the thing that settled it was that the Omaha player legitimately had stopped skating above the crease, and both North Dakota players kind of sandwiched him at the same time. Person's coming
Yeah,
from the crease and makes contact with him outside of the crease, initiating contact at the same time that the North Dakota player is kind of coming in and pushing him into person. I believe, that was a good goal and no goaltender interference on that one. And I believe there was another one that was challenged for goaltender interference, and it turned out like it was just the most perfect screen because the goaltender never even got touched. Uh, so both of those were called right, but like there's certain instances where like a guy grazes the goaltender, doesn't really change his angle or what he's doing, or the goaltender actually is the one who initiates contact and they're calling goaltender interference. Like those kinds of things, it would be nice to understand why they're calling it the way they call it. Because how many times, even in the NHL, do we hear, "Well, I don't know what goaltender interference is anymore."
yeah, and the NHL refs, they're the professional refs where
I don't think there's any such thing as a professional ref, but maybe the NHL is closest to it.
I mean NHL. MLB and NBA, they're all full time. That is their job. The NFL is the only professional league that uh, they have other jobs on the side. Well, reffing is their side hustle, uh, their main profession there. But yeah, these college refs are they'll do unless they really do multi-sport. They're engineers, they're teachers, they're whatever, and then this is their other profession that they do. But they still need to be held accountable.
Yeah,
They
I mean, they really should
because
be. Like, and
it
I think leagues get it and pro teams get it. Like you're not gonna get a player who never commits a penalty, but if you're giving a kid, you know, three major penalties a season or something, teams are gonna start looking like, is this a dirty player? Could he like legitimately
mhm.
not hold up? And oh, Saturday was direct contact to the head. Was the major Saturday. Uh, you know, is he a dirty player? Should we really like at some point that has to play into it, and now we're affecting people's futures.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And we did learn from the commissioner that like the NCHC is the only conference that has rule officials, for lack of a better term. She called them something else, but they were essentially rule, yeah,
supervisors, I
official
think.
supervisors at every game. So basically, like a mini New York or Toronto at every game, not necessarily saying what should be called, but going through the rules and helping the referees work towards what the conference decide can determine to be the right call. Um, what's funny is I
Like
think the two calls. So I don't know if you, well, you probably don't watch them, but you should watch the post game press conferences for Western games because Fersh is an entertaining fellow. But the Friday game, he says that he didn't really see either play. Didn't have an opportunity to review them. The referees did, and I'm sure they got it right. Was kind of his his way of not saying much but saying everything at the same time. And then Saturday, and maybe he didn't see the call because Saturday he comes out and says, "I don't know how they didn't know that was offside." They picked up the puck, shot it into the the only area where their player was standing. It hits him right in the chest and goes to middle ice. Uh, so he definitely thought the offside Saturday was a little more obvious, which it was obvious to everybody in the arena off the first replay. So again, to me, and I think I even tweeted it out that I believe the big delay on that offsides play was just they were trying to figure out the time that needed to go back on the clock because play has to return to the point where the whistle would should have blown had the offsides been caught,
yeah, and that one
which only ended up being like 4 seconds. But I mean, still they have to figure all that crap out and get everything squared away and right. So
watching it on TV, it was a little tough, but the camera quality wasn't great. Um, and I think I was messaging you. I'm like, I don't know how it couldn't be offside, but from the angle and the quality that I was getting on TV, I wasn't for sure
well, the first time
that
they
it was
showed it, I
offside.
wasn't necessarily sure where the puck went. But then as I was sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, it doesn't really matter where the puck went because we didn't play it into our own defensive zone. Like no matter what, no matter who that
Hmm.
hits in the defensive zone, the Western's defensive zone, Western didn't play the puck into their own defensive zone on their own accord.
At the
Like
bare
that puck,
minimum, it would have been a delayed offside.
yeah, like that puck could have hit the Western player. It's still offside because the Duluth player is still halfway in the zone. He's like near the hash marks on the outside of the faceoff dot. Like
Yeah,
he's
it's just not an immediate whistle because of the delayed offside.
yeah. But I mean, they were still looking at where the offside was called. But no
Yeah.
matter what, the goal wouldn't have counted because it should have been offsides. That was the easy part to determine, was that it was offsides. It didn't necessarily have to hit the Duluth player in the defensive zone for that to have remained an offsides play. Is really the point I was getting at. Because
Yeah.
I think someone
And
was
and I don't
we
know
had a
if he tagged up or not. I can't remember, but
no, not even remotely. Well, I think the player who shot the puck had or was on his way back to tagging up and collected the puck off of the first player who never got out of the zone,
okay.
because it's played. I'm going to describe it from my seat, so it's going to be, it has the goalie sees it. It's to the right of the goalie. The puck is just outside the neutral zone, kind of by the away penalty box door. Duluth player picks it up, shoots it in along the boards. It hits a Duluth player dead in the chest. Like I said, near that circle, like just to the
Mhm.
right of the right face-off dot, in like the
Yeah,
northeast.
between the top of the circle and the blue line.
Yeah, and that northeast corner of the face-off circle. And then it trickles to center ice, and the kid puts it over Cam's blocker side. Yeah, Cam catches left-handed. He's a normal goalie, so it goes
Yeah,
over his blocker
he's
side.
a normie.
Uh, but yeah, it's picked up at like in basically in the slot by
Yeah.
a third Duluth player. But either way, like, it was offsides by a mile, no matter, because the only way that it negates offsides is if Western had played it into the zone. Western getting hit with it in the zone doesn't matter.
Because
Western
you still have to get, even
still have
if
to tag
it's
up.
Western, you still have to tag up. Yeah.
Yeah, unless Western
But
literally played it back into the zone and you were still in the zone, then that negates you having to tag up because we brought it back in the zone on our own accord.
yeah, I remember that from Ruffin.
So, but that was not the case here. It was a clear offsides. They got that call right. I think that was really kind of a bit of a momentum shift, because I think that was
I think so too.
Western kind of took over after that point. I don't remember if that was a goal that was going to give. I think that was going to give Duluth a 3-2 lead again Saturday night. Um, but really the big thing that happened for Western is they got the kill late in the second, or at the beginning of the second period, and then went on to score a quick goal. Let me look at the actual. I'm clicking in all the wrong places. I know what I want. I just keep doing it wrong. I'll look at the actual score sheet, or the box scored up. That's the wrong game because they switched to where everybody was sitting on the stupid website. Mm-hmm. Christmas trees are my favorite. I think Colorado College had an early game on Saturday, so it's throwing everything off. But yeah, it was 2-0 Duluth to start the second period, because once again they had a late goal 5-on-3 in the first period to put them up 2-0. Western kills the remaining part of the major, and then they get 2 goals in quick succession. Still, early part of the second period, 5:36 and 6:40, which really was the thing that propelled Western the most, getting those goals that quickly after the major had been killed off, because that was kind of what they weren't able to do Friday night, because they did kill the majority of those 2 majors. They only allowed 1 goal, 5-on-3 for like 8 minutes, 9 minutes that it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought that was going to be a big kind of emotional boost, but they didn't necessarily get the goal off of it to continue it, and Duluth was able to pull away with the game. But they answer back with 2. Like I said, Duluth kind of fails to get the game, the go-ahead goal there with the offside play. Sam Colangelo scores off the face-off with just an absolute rocket of a shot.
That was ridiculous, and it fit. I knew that was going to be a problem because I think on Friday the stat was like 40 something to 14 face-offs wise. You guys were absolutely destroying us in the circle, and I'm like, this is going to come back to bite us. Sure enough, right to Sam, fires a rocket, and it fit perfectly with the video that Western put out with who has the hardest shot on the team.
That's a nice
And
coincidence.
Sam was the runaway favorite.
Which I don't know how that play did not make the top 5 list, but your 5-hole goal to open Friday's scoring made the list, but whatever. I,
I I don't know who runs that
the NCHC media team and I are having some struggles this year as far as what I agree with and their calls on things, but
this year.
listen, this has been a running thing. They may not know it, but we have disagreed heartily on some things in the last couple years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Uh, and then a couple empty net goals to seal the deal Saturday for the 5-2 Western win. Again, it's nice to see Western getting back at it and picking up a win. I would have liked to have seen that effort Friday. I think Friday's game was winnable. There was just some stuff that took uh, the fun out of that game. Let's say.
I do think Friday's game was winnable for Western, but I think honestly, I think both games were winnable for each team, and that's why I put it as a split. Um, but anyway, enough on that game because
Yeah, we're
we
already
could,
about a half hour, 40 minutes in on just one game.
yeah. So uh, next was Omaha, and they were playing Denver. Uh, I think Denver's kind of found their stride.
Uh,
I didn't watch a whole lot of any other hockey, but Denver was able to put up 12 goals on Omaha.
yeah, I'm telling you, dude. If Denver sees the puck go in the net, they're hard to slow down. So far, the only team I've seen have decent success slowing down their scoring was Western Michigan, and that was kind of for one game. Um, I don't know what they've got. They've got two or three of the top scorers in the country right now, both in goals and points. They're putting it together defensively. I think they still struggle. Um, so if
I
you've
think
got
their goaltending is their biggest thing.
Davis has played well. I think he started both games, gave up 5 goals on the entire weekend. Still kind of coming back from an injury there, but I think defensively and goaltending are their struggles right now. But they've got an offense that, if it gets going, it's hard to keep off the board, and you can't take penalties against them either. Of course, I mean apparently you can't be shorthanded either because I think they picked up 2 shorthanded goals in that series as well. And I think they lead the country in shorthanded goals with like 8 or something, is what I heard. Maybe I wasn't
That would
100%
make
listening.
sense.
So it's just a matter like you've got to play smart defense with them no matter what. If they have the puck, like got to take the opportunities away, be strong and pastor them up the ice, back check, get the puck out, and just keep the puck away from that. You got to possession that team. And not let them in behind your defense because it's going to just be bad news for your goaltender.
And and what they're showing now, they had a little bit of a slow start to the year, but they're showing right now what we expected them to be when we went over the schedules and everything. They're they did lose some players, but they just reload, and I they're a team that I just don't want to play right now. If I'm any team, doesn't matter if you're number one or number 64 in the nation, however many teams there are. I just don't want to play Denver wherever they're at because they were number 5 when they played Omaha, and Omaha was 19th. So Omaha's decent year, but yeah, Denver's they're hitting their stride. Uh,
I don't know.
the next
I think there could be a cold snap coming for that offense. Like I said, I think where they're getting to a point where that doesn't seem 5 goals a game or 5.5 goals a game to this point. That seems extremely hard to continue the whole year. It just does. I mean, there's teams that are going to start figuring out how to play them defensively, especially teams that are getting to see them 3-4 times a year, and
It is tough,
and
but
they'll give up goals too. I mean, that second
it's
game with Omaha, they gave up, that series they gave up 5 in that series.
the one thing I'll say with Denver, yeah, they'll give up goals, but it seems like they're that team that's going to try and outscore you, and obviously not knowing really anything about the other conferences out east, the only two teams that I think could stick with them are North Dakota and St. Cloud, because they have the offensive firepower. Well, Western has the offensive firepower, I guess. So
Western outscored them in their series that they played with us.
there were three teams: Western, St. Cloud, and North Dakota.
Don't think they've played St. Cloud yet. That would be
I
the
don't
only
believe
one.
they have. I know.
They
I know
played
they
North
played North
Dakota.
Dakota.
Yeah, North
Yeah,
Dakota did kind of what we did. Thumped them one game 7-5. Kept the second game closer. That was only a 3-2 score. So really, North Dakota may be the one who's done the best at reining them in. Uh, they
that
scored
7-5 game was ridiculous.
Western won 7-3 and then lost 6-5. So again, Western North Dakota have done a decent job reining them in. They've yet to play St. Cloud. I think they've yet to play Duluth.
Yeah, I don't think we've played them yet.
They have Miami this weekend. No, they have North Dakota this weekend. You guys have Miami this weekend. So there's still some tests ahead for Denver. I don't want to say to me they don't feel strong enough to be the 1 seed. I mean, granted, I think they're currently sitting in like third because there's a tie for first. I don't think they're much ahead of Western. Yeah, they're 3 points ahead of Western Michigan in third. They're 3 points behind St. Cloud and North Dakota, and they still have some games against those teams ahead of them. So it'll be interesting to see. They scored 126 freaking goals overall, 60 in the conference. By far and away leading conference scoring.
I think just looking far enough ahead, though, if they do end up winning the Penrose and then also winning the Frozen face-off, they will get a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
I know
But
it would be weird to say, but I feel
I
like they'd
don't
be
think
the
they're
weaker.
deserving.
I'd feel like they'd be the weakest 1 seed.
Yeah, they probably will get one, but I don't think they should. I think um I think there would be what there should be if Denver were to be that one, and if you're just looking at teams in general, I think there should be at least one Big Ten team as a 1 seed, one Hockey East team as a 1 seed, maybe an ECAC team as a 1 seed, and then maybe another Big Ten team as a 1 seed. Because if Denver wins both the Penrose and the Frozen face-off, they're going to get one of those, because I'm not giving Atlantic Hockey a 1 seed, but I don't think that they deserve it. I wouldn't think that Denver deserves it.
I would think if you're able to pull off what's only been done once, and that was in the pod year and the year that the tournament was played at North Dakota, winning both the Penrose and the Frozen Faceoff, that you would be deserving of a 1 seed. I just don't think that they're a very strong 1 seed. Is really I think they would be the most beatable of the 1 seeds.
Yeah, that's kind of where my point is like, if you look at the college hockey as a whole, are they deserving? But if they're able to do that, then yeah, you're gonna get a 1 seed. You're just not. You're probably gonna be the easiest first round out.
Okay, they wouldn't deserve it, but they would have earned it. That's the distinction.
Yeah, there you go. I was just missing words. Thank you.
What you deserve and what you're able to earn are two different things. Um,
Uh, then we have the last series, which I don't know. I did
yeah,
not pay
we still have
attention
North
other than
Dakota and St. Cloud, and then Miami,
oh yeah,
Colorado. North Dakota, St.
we
Cloud.
we were just talking about St. Cloud so much too
Yeah.
that I got distracted. Uh,
And,
this if I would have watched it, it probably would have been the second most entertaining series. Uh, North Dakota wins Friday 5-3, and then St. Cloud pulls out a shootout win on Saturday. And I think Friday. I think both games probably were about what we had expected, with it being a very close series with these two teams, especially how they're playing this year.
yeah, and it kind of goes to what we thought too. Like if North Dakota could build a big lead, they can hold on to the lead. But if it's a close game and they get drugged to deep water, they are really struggling in extra time this year.
Hmm.
It wasn't an overtime loss, but it was still, St. Cloud State gets the extra standings point, getting the shootout win. But they've got to figure out either how to finish these close games in regulation or what they're doing in the overtime and the shootout period. Because I would have thought in the shootout they might have had a little bit of an advantage. I do think Person is the slightly better goaltender over Castor, but or Bassey, not Castor. Castor was last year over Bassey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew what you meant.
And I think the shooters are a little bit better on the North Dakota side too. But then again, I mean, St. Cloud State has some incredible goal scorers, and they've shown it again this year. A little bit underrated of a team. They just had some struggles in the non-conference schedule that's really kind of put them down, but they've held that top spot of the NCHC since the beginning of conference play. So very competitive games, went about the way we expected them to. Um, Again, North Dakota, man, they've got to figure out what they're doing if they're getting into these extra times, because that seems to be the way to beat them. Keep the game close, and if you have to, hope for overtime, but just keep pace with them. It really makes me look forward to the Denver North Dakota series we get this weekend, because that could go a bajillion ways, and all of them could be entertaining.
I think it's going to go the way that kind of the way the last series went, but North Dakota seems like Denver in the sense that if they score first, well, you're screwed. But if you can score first and then keep it close and maybe hold a 1 goal lead, then, like you said, you get to that overtime period, you get to that shootout, that's fine. But as soon as they see that first goal go in the net, the floodgates kind of open up. And having Person helps. And I think that has helped them defensively in a sense. But they're still not the best defensively with their whole brand new defensive core.
No, but they're definitely playing some solid defense. They've got to lean defense. North Dakota has got to play really. Here's the thing about North Dakota, though. They can do this too. Is they've got to play sound, solid defense, but then take advantage in the transition. Denver is not a great transition defense team or defensive team in period. But and North Dakota has the players that play very good transition offense. Reese Gaber is one of the top transition scorers in the country, not just this conference, in the country. If they can find him space in the puck because they've played solid defense and they can turn that defense into offense, which we've seen every team do this year, and it's how a lot of goals get scored. That one big save that Person's capable of getting. the puck is out, and next thing you know, it's in the back of your net, and you're still standing around in the offensive zone going, "I thought the puck was under the goaltender." Like that's how North Dakota wins this game is with solid defense and quick transition offense that keeps Denver on their heels and keeps them playing back. You have to withstand that offense because they're going to get their chances and potentially they're going to put one in the back of your net for sure. But solid defense and quick transitions is how you beat this Denver team.
Well, and we'll go over that in just a minute. The last one, last series, Colorado College played Miami, and Colorado College won both those games. I don't know.
Which we expected.
Yeah, I wasn't even that one. I wasn't even really going to watch because I was like, I think I know what's gonna happen.
And
Uh,
Colorado College, the lone home team to win on Friday.
so we're going through. We did not go through these last week, because we did have Bruce on. But I did do the tabulation and I counted last week and this week for our records. For the record, Bruce got every series correctly. He did not predict certain days, but he was correct about the split between UMD and Western. He was correct about the Omaha, well, them being swept. Correct about a split between St. Cloud and North Dakota, and correct about a Colorado College sweep. As it sits, I'm up 2 games on you, Wes. I
Yeah.
am 86 and 48, and you are 84 and 50. And I will say, for us being just fans and me not watching a lot of the games too, uh, we're doing pretty good on our picks percentage wise. I'm pretty
So,
proud of both of us. We're above 500.
yeah, it
So
feels like we're sitting at
there's
about
that.
66% ish.
Yeah. So I would say that we're doing pretty good.
Right, I'm not going to get too in depth in these. I think we covered some of it when we were going through the previous series, but we'll start out with puck drop times. The earliest game that can be seen on NCHC TV is Colorado College versus Western Michigan. This is the second series of the year between these two teams. Western swept the early one. Western swept the regular season series last year, got swept in the playoffs. Did like I said, did return the favor and swept Colorado College in Colorado earlier this year. It's a big weekend. It's the 50th anniversary of Western hockey. They're celebrating with a bunch of alumni back this weekend. Um, so I would like to see Western sweep, but I'm saying this only in hopes that it proves me wrong, and I'm hoping to lose the Friday game. I'm gonna run with the little trend that's been going on and Friday teams winning games. I'm gonna take Colorado College in the Friday game, and I'm gonna take Western in the Saturday game. Even though really my heart says it's going to be a sweep, but riding the trends here.
I think the way that I view it is I think it's going to be a sweep.
I also don't think Emberko's playing quite as
Or
well
I
as he
mean,
did last year.
a split. I said sweep, meant to split. Uh, no, I do not think Umberto's playing quite as well as he did last year, but I think Colorado College is playing better team hockey because last year it was basically reliant on McCown to score their goals, right? This year they're playing more like a team instead of relying on a single player. So I'm also going to split, but I'm doing the opposite of you. I think Western breaks the trend. They win on Friday, but then CC figures it out and wins on Saturday.
I think our friend Brent. Hang on, my computer's being stupid.
Need me to look something up.
No, I got it. I think are we good?
Are we good?
I don't know. No, my shit's being weird.
I don't know. I'm reliant on you.
Can you hear me fine? All right, I think
Yeah.
we're good. We're good now. Everything's settled back out. I had a little hitch in my giddy up here. I think Brent pointed out that Colorado College, they're currently sitting fifth. I believe they have more points at this point in the season than they did most of, if not all of last season. So they are trending up. I know they finished last year with 25 points. They have 19 currently. Yeah, I do think that they're playing better team hockey. I'm just gonna ride the trend. I don't actually truly believe it, but trends are trends for a reason.
Yeah. You see a pattern, you go with it. Next up we got my Bulldogs against Miami. Kind of talked about this. I have such a tough time thinking we're going to sweep Miami. A lot of that has to do with Ludwig. But I think we already played once this year.
You did. You swept them in Miami, I believe. You did. Both 3-1 games. Or no, an OT shootout win for
Yeah.
UMD and then a 3-1 win. So
I just I think I'm gonna, even though I want it to be a sweep, and I think it might be, I'm gonna do exactly what you did with Western, and I think the road team in Miami takes Friday, and UMD takes Saturday.
I went with a Duluth sweep because I hate myself and I can't legitimately choose all the damn away teams on Friday. And this is the one I think the home team has the best chance at winning. I think Duluth did play well both games. Uh, Western did what they were supposed to do on Friday. They just did it on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I think Western's still the stronger team out of the two, but I think Duluth is the stronger team out of these two, and they seem to be doing what they normally do and playing better at this point in the year. So we'll stick with them. Denver at North Dakota. The Friday game is the CBS Sports Network game. This matchup, I believe it's a top 5 matchup once again. I believe it was when they were in Denver earlier this year. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Offensively, these teams match up pretty well. North Dakota did a great job keeping up with the scoring of Denver earlier in the year, splitting that series. I think they could do it again. I have, riding that trend of Friday teams being the away team's day. I do have Denver winning the Friday one and North Dakota winning Saturday. Um, and I made my case. I think you just got to be able to contend with that offense. You keep them in check, ride those waves, block shots, get transition up the ice and score on some odd man rushes or in quick transition, and that's how you beat Denver. I think North Dakota has the ability to sweep. I just don't think they get it done. And they split the series with the away team winning the first game there. Because apparently travel doesn't mean anything anymore.
I'm with you when you said North Dakota has the ability to sweep, and I'm with you where I don't think they do. This one is the toughest one to predict, and I usually just do these on the fly, so I know you have yours written down, and I just look at them and I see them. Um, I think North Dakota is going to come up fired up on Friday because the fan base knows what's at stake. The players are going to know what's at stake. Just having it being a top 5 matchup, the crowd's going to give them some energy. So I think North Dakota wins on Friday, but I think Denver comes back on Saturday and wins because they're going to jump out to an early lead. So I have North Dakota and losing, loss and win. Then we have the last series of the weekend, which starts at the same time as Denver, North Dakota, and that is St. Cloud and Omaha. Me personally, I think St. Cloud sweeps. Omaha has the potential to split. They've proven that they can still be competitive like the third seeded team that they did last year. But I just think St. Cloud is too good for both games, so I have St. Cloud sweeping Omaha.
I
Sorry, Brent.
think Omaha has been my goddamn kryptonite this whole freaking season. I'm pretty sure if I go back and look, I've gotten most of the games I've gotten wrong have been because of them. I'm almost sure of it. They hate me. I dislike them strongly because of it.
Sorry, Brent. Apologize to our guest at least.
No, because I have picked them to win games. They have done more negative to me than I have to them. I picked them to win
he's not on the.
I
He's
picked
not on
them
the team
to win the tournament. I didn't say anything mean about them. I said they've been screwing me over all year. It costing me picks. I haven't been saying anything bad about them. I picked them to win the tournament in Arizona. What'd they do? Blew it. Losers. I picked them to win on Saturday against Denver. What'd they do? Blew it. Losers.
I can tell you've been watching a lot of Pat McAfee because the way you're talking right now is Pat McAfee-esque.
Saying. I have picked them to win games, and they have not returned the favor of winning those games. Okay? I'm going to pick them to win Friday, and they're probably going to let me down. But I'm going to give them Friday, and then they're going to just eat pucks and lose on Saturday. And what is it? Yetman, whatever the hell his name is, he's going to go off and have a great game on Saturday for St. Cloud State. I think just scored his 100th point.
So the older one
of his career.
Yeah, brothers.
Yeah. I think it's Vidi and is the older one, and then I don't know the other ones.
I can't remember the younger one's name, but
I think he just picked up his 100th career point.
Yeah, Vidi is the older one.
So, yep. That's what I'm running with. Swear to God, Omaha, if you let me down one more time, I will pick you to lose every single game the rest of the season. And then I will hope that you do. And for that, I apologize to all of your fans, but I'm sick of your team letting me down. All right?
Completely forgot I was going to look something up, and I need to.
Hell, I have encouraged Nebraska Omaha to schedule a tougher non-conference schedule so that team can figure out how to get into the national tournament. Because I would like to see him get in there. Let me down one more time, and I swear I will hope that you never make it to Minnesota for the next 2 years that it's capable of doing it, and I hope you never host a playoff game when it goes to campus games. You jerks.
I mean, if you want a team to let you down, just look at that hat that's on your head.
How many playoff games your team win this year?
Yeah, this year.
How many playoff games your team win in what, like the last 5 years? When you know?
5 years at least one.
Sure about that? Well, that would
Yeah.
still be less than we've already won this year. So we got 2, looking for 3.
Yeah, but they're still gonna let you down. Even though I'm cheering for them. I'm cheering for them.
Yeah,
The lovable losers.
and Brent's not even mad because he's laughing. He said those things are probably already likely, that they're not going to host the playoff series and they're not going to make it to the Frozen Face-Off the last 2 years. So there, jerk.
I still think you should apologize to him.
I apologize to no one. I will hit that Conor McGregor. I apologize to absolutely nobody.
And then, so now you're gonna go hit some old dude at a bar for no reason.
No, I'll wait till they start a ruckus, and I'll just be a little bit more forceful when I tell them it's time for them to politely leave my establishment.
I wasn't thinking on the clock, but anyway.
I don't go to bars unless I'm working, silly.
If you want to go full Conor McGregor, you can just walk into a bar and hit some old dude.
I could also throw a dolly at a bus, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that anytime soon.
You got to find a bus first.
There's plenty of buses around. And I got a dolly in my garage. I can just throw that in my back seat of my car and just start driving around town. Find a bus. Get a couple stops ahead of it and just whip it. I wouldn't do that.
I would say
Don't do that.
let me fill that. I would say let me film that, but then I'd be an accomplice. So, good luck.
All right.
Anyway,
That's gonna
enough of these
do it here.
shenanigans.
We got a little bit carried away with the Western Duluth series. As that happens, because those are the teams that we most represent. So we're gonna talk most about them. Next week will be another regular week. We'll talk about this week. We'll look forward to the next week. A programming notice for a couple weeks out. I'm looking at trying to do a watch along February 2nd or 3rd. I think the 3rd is my daughter's 1-year birthday party. So it probably won't be that night unless everybody leaves my house before 9 o'clock. Friday is a possibility if I get everything set up early enough. We'll check out the games around the league, the conference. We'll watch the Western game because they're out at Denver, so that'll be the late game. We'll hang out if I go through with those. Also, February 6th, I believe, is the date we settled on. Brent will be joining the program once again to go over some Omaha things, as they will have taken on the Bulldogs and getting ready to take on the Broncos. So I thought it would be a great time for him to come back on and share some of his great Maverick knowledge. So those are some things to look forward to. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. You could hit the like, the subscribe, the share buttons, any of those things down below in the YouTube places. There's a comment section. If you really want to say stuff in there, you can. If not, whatever. You're adults. You're people. You're capable of making decisions, I hope. If not, why are you watching this? Because you've already made a terrible decision in doing so.
That is correct.
There's a Twitter handle that has been scrolling along the bottom of your screen the whole time. It's coming around right now. It's missing some letters, so make sure you really pay attention to that one because I'm not reading it out. I don't want to. There is a Gmail account that is set up that you could email if you have some ideas of things you would like us to cover potentially in the off season when we don't have hockey to talk about every week. That is goalhornsandfightsongs@gmail.com. It's got all the letters, all the words crammed together into one big long one. Add a little @gmail.com at the end of it, and there you go. You found this video So you know that we exist on the YouTube. You can check out the rest of our stuff. There's some interviews that are decent. There's also us being idiots and pretending to know what we're talking about on there. So you could check those out. And I believe that is it. That's all the things. I don't think there's anything else. Our personal Twitter handles are below our pictures. So those you can just add us directly. Michael likes to take hate on his Twitter. It's happened before. He'll gladly do it again.
Yeah, I'm used to it. It's like my
Um,
personal life.
and on mine, you might see some Detroit Lions stuff. So that's a thing that can happen. Yep, that's it. We're out of here. Bye.